Hey, Squatties.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Travel Squad podcast. Today, we're airing one of our most popular episodes from the past 3 years.
We have hundreds of episodes now, and lately we've been replaying the most well-received and listened to episodes, and you all have been loving it.
We're going to keep giving you what you want and give new Squatties the chance to hear past episodes without having to go digging through the archives.
New episodes are still launching every other week, while classics like this are airing in between.
Enjoy the show and happy Travel Tuesday.
Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast, where adventure meets inspiration. We're your hosts. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Jamal. Together we explore international destinations, hike epic national parks, and share unforgettable travel experiences with you, one passport stamp at a time.
Our mission is to inspire you to travel by showing you how you can make it work no matter your budget, schedule, or experience level. We bring you along so that you can laugh, get excited, and start planning your own trip.
So grab your ticket and your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And get ready to embark on a new adventure with us around the globe.
Aloha, fellow travelers.
Hey, Squatties.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Travel Squad podcast. Today, we're taking you to the Hawaiian island of Oahu.
One of our goals was to vacation on all 4 of the main Hawaiian islands, and we visited Kauai back in 2018, Big Island in 2020, then we went to Maui in 2021, but then we lagged for a few years and finally made it to Oahu in February 2025. But honestly, one of the only reasons we booked this trip was because I received a promotional companion pass from Southwest, and Southwest flies directly from San Diego to Honolulu, and the flights were a really good price. But our expectations were a little low. But let me tell you that I was actually really genuinely impressed, and I could have actually spent an extra day or 2 vacationing on Oahu.
You guys go on a lot of trips, and I watch stories, of course, throughout your whole trip. And some of them I'm really jealous and I really wish I were on. Some of them I, don't mind not being. But this one, Oahu, I was so envious. It looked so gorgeous. It was almost like Thailand, but so clean and so bright and beautiful, and also metropolis on the water. I didn't know it was such a big city.
It's a really big city. Well, Oahu, of course, is the island, the big city, Honolulu, right? And I think that's why Brittany said our expectations weren't very high for this one, because a lot of people that go to Oahu, of course, it's one of the most popular islands to visit, but it is the most populated. You do feel like you are in a big city when you are in Honolulu because it is a big city. So some people may think that detracts from the Hawaiian laid-back vibes, right? But I didn't think so at all. I really feel it almost enhanced it. And to your point, Kim, of saying, oh, we travel a lot, and I know we used to travel a lot all the time. It's so sad that you're in Texas, because I know a lot of these trips, even here at Oahu, if you were still in San Diego, probably would have been able to make it, because it's so hard coordinating flying from different cities to make it, do all this and that. But I'll tell you what, you need to add Oahu to the list, and maybe we'll make it a squad trip, because we really did like the island of Oahu a lot.
I also want to give a shout out to our squatties, because you guys showed up with the recommendations for Oahu. Erin gave us a ton of recommendations. So did Jessica, who did her bachelorette party in Oahu, Allison, and Kim's friend, who hooked us up with a ton of local recommendations because he lived on the island for like 10 years.
So before we get into the episode and everything that we did, let's tell you a little bit about Oahu. So Oahu is the 3rd largest Hawaiian island. By that, I'm talking size, but it is the most populated of the Hawaiian islands. The state capital of Honolulu is on Oahu, and Oahu's 44 miles long and 30 miles across, and has over 227 miles of beautiful Pacific shoreline.
Do you think it's the most populated because of the Navy presence there? Like if it wasn't there, maybe it wouldn't be so populated?
Honestly, that's a good question. I'm not too sure why specifically Oahu. Probably because of the Navy, I would wager to say so. But it's one of those things. Why do cities prop up wherever they do? Who really knows? Point is, Honolulu is here, and it is a largely populated area and island.
And it's so absolutely gorgeous, so I can see why people are there.
Yeah, it definitely impressed us. So we have a few tips for you guys for visiting Oahu. tip number one is that you'll have to pay for parking in Waikiki. There are some street parking meters for like 2 hours long, but you're going to be circling quite a bit if that's what you're going for. And you want to be able to relax and hang out at the beach for longer than just 2 hours. So you're probably going to have to pay to park.
And you're going to want to drive to other places on the island. Of course, you could spend all your time here in Honolulu in this region, but we really don't recommend it. The entire island has a lot of great stuff. So you're going to need a car to drive around the island. So you are going to probably have to park it.
But the neighborhood of Waikiki is actually super walkable. That's where we stayed. We stayed just a few blocks from the beach, literally from the minute we left our room to get down to the sand. It was an 8-minute excursion. And there's a ton of restaurants, bars, shops, a whole promenade of things, a mall. Everything's in this area, super walkable.
And to that point of Waikiki being walkable, like I said a little bit earlier, this is one of our tips. Do get a rental car because you will want to go to other spots on the island.
It was really hot and humid while we were there, obviously, and you're in the tropics. So make sure to bring reef-safe sunscreens to protect those Hawaiian reefs and keep hydrated while you're there.
Just to clarify, is Waikiki a neighborhood in Honolulu, which is on the island of Oahu?
That is correct.
Okay. Squatties, before we get into what Brittany and Jamal did on this trip, I do want to let you know that we have a brand new Oahu itinerary available for download on our shop, shoptravelsquad.com. We will link it in the show notes and you can check it out. Everything we're about to go through will be hyper detailed in a PDF instant download, so you can take this exact trip.
So diving right on into the trip, we left on a Friday. We took the first flight out of San Diego. It was direct to Honolulu. So we left at 7:25 and got there just before noon. There is a time difference, and depending on what time of year, because Hawaii does not do daylight savings time. So during this time of the year, they're 2 hours behind San Diego. But once daylight savings hits, they're 3 hours behind. So we were pretty hungry because the flight is a 6-hour flight, and we flew Southwest, so they don't have meals to really order or anything, but they did upgrade their snacks.
Yeah, shout out to Southwest on this one. I feel like certain routes, they give a lot better snacks. And
it's the length. It was a 6-hour flight, so they have better snacks.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me tell you something. All of their snacks were delicious and we enjoyed it. They had the Ritz crackers filled with cheese, a stuffed muffin with strawberry that was really good and amazing. I know this sounds so simple because, of course, they always really give nuts, but they had really high quality almonds. And then later on, they came around with Oreos too. So they gave a lot of good stuff.
So once we landed, we got our rental car, and then we decided to hit up the grocery store called Foodland. And anytime I watch a video that talks about food in Hawaii, Foodland is almost always mentioned because they have really fresh poke if you like that. And they had a ton of different flavors. So Jamal and I split a poke bowl, and then we went directly to hiking on the island.
So real quick about Foodland. So Foodland is a supermarket chain on the island. So you're going to find it pretty much in every city that the island of Oahu has. So it's not just something specific to Honolulu, but really great spot to go and get some food, really great variety, even sushi included in there. So Brittany mentioned poke. They also have sushi and all sorts of other stuff from the deli if seafood isn't your thing. So good food there. But yes, we did go on to a hike before we even checked into our Airbnb that we were staying at. We wanted to go do the Manoa Falls hike. This is just right outside of Honolulu. And when I say just right outside, honestly, we didn't drive more than 10 minutes from Foodlands to get to this hike. What I really like about Honolulu in this area is, of course, it is a big city. You can feel that, but it's also very small in the sense that that lush greenery and islandscape that you would imagine Hawaii and the islands to have, you can see right here. So no more than 10 minutes out, we're here hiking the Manoa Falls waterfall hike.
I do have to say that it hadn't rained recently, so obviously that's going to affect the waterfall flow. So the waterfall itself was a bit of a letdown, but the actual trail was so beautiful, so lush. There was so much to see, and it was a pretty short hike. It was just under 2 miles, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. I would just do the hike even if there wasn't a waterfall there.
The elevation gain, I don't think was any more than 400 feet, something like
It's
that.
about 500.
Yeah, not too bad. So I would say that even though it was 2 miles round trip, relatively easy hike. They do have a parking lot. It's $7 to park in, or you can park in the neighborhood and streets outside of the nature area and extend that hike. But I wouldn't do it because only $7.
After the hike, we decided we were going to check into our Airbnb. Again, we were staying in Waikiki, and Waikiki is an iconic, popular destination. It has beaches, it has nightlife, it has cultural history. So that's why we stayed there.
If you weren't to stay in Waikiki, what other neighborhoods would you stay in?
I don't know specifically where we would stay because Waikiki is just such a big popular spot, but other people are really drawn to the North Shore of Oahu. And so if we weren't staying in Waikiki, we would probably go the more nature route and stay in North Shore. But honestly, like if you're going to go to Oahu, get a rental car because you're going to want to see all of the island, and it's such a drivable island.
So after we had checked into our Airbnb, we decided, hey, let's go check out the beach. Let's go see Waikiki Beach at sunset. And it just happens to perfectly face west for us to be able to see the sunset. So we took that 8-minute walk and then we got to Waikiki Beach. It's everything that if you've ever Googled or seen images of it, you're there and you really feel like you're in those images you've seen your entire life if you have never ever been there before. You have the high rises and then the famous white sand crescent beach with all the waves coming in. Just a really iconic view and place to be, and a nice way to end our first day by watching the sunset.
And then Squatty had given us some recommendations on places to eat. So we went out to a barbecue place called Guava Smoked, and their beef kalbi was so good. I'm still thinking about it now. But while we were there, we were sitting by a window and we caught a glimpse of the fireworks. They do fireworks every Friday night at the Hilton Hawaiian Village in Waikiki. So we were super hungry, so we didn't stay at the beach to do them. But it looked like a really nice fireworks show if you're into that.
A little sad that we missed it, but sometimes food takes priority, and a fireworks show is a fireworks show, but it would have been really...
Well, who doesn't love a fireworks
I
show?
know, and it would have been cool to see it there, but nevertheless, like I said, food took priority in this moment. But if you're there on a Friday, they've been doing it for so many years, every Friday on Waikiki Beach at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. But afterwards, I told Brittany I really want to go to Kona Brewing. So Kona Brewing, they have it here in the United States. And by that, I'm talking the mainland, right? But the beer that they sell here is only maybe 3 or 4 different varieties. Kona comes from Big Island, Hawaii. They also have Kona Brewing on the smaller islands here in Oahu as well. But they have a lot more beer varieties. So when we had gone to Big Island, we really enjoyed the brewery, the vibe that Kona had. And I said, does Oahu have one? Sure enough, they did. So we made a point to go get after dinner cocktails at Kona Brewing for some authentic Hawaiian beer.
I got the Wailua Wheat, which is a citrusy passion fruit ale.
And I ended up getting the Fire Rock Pale Ale, which was the same one I remember that I got when we were on Big Island in Hawaii, in Kona, at Kona Brewing. And it's everything I remembered. And it's really sad that Kona does not put their other varieties on the mainland, the contiguous 48, because they have so much better stuff than what they make available here.
So that wrapped up our Friday. On Saturday, we had a pretty big day, and I had heard a lot about a food called musubi, which is a Hawaiian twist on the Japanese onigiri. And so it's basically rice topped with grilled Spam, wrapped with nori. And Jamal, what'd you think of that?
You know exactly what I thought about it, Brittany. I did not like it at all. Brittany had at least 3 musubi places to try. And we tried it here at one spot in the morning for breakfast. And of course, you want to try what's popular on the island, what the locals like, what the tourists even like based off of what the locals like. However, I am just not a fan of it whatsoever. I like Spam. Don't get me wrong. I like Spam. I don't eat it every day, but I have nothing against it. But just so much rice. Then it's wrapped in nori, which if you don't know what nori is, it's seaweed. just too pungent of a flavor. Then sometimes they'll do grilled Spam with a teriyaki sauce, or they'll do stuffed versions of it. So it's almost like Hawaiian sushi, but it is nowhere near as good as regular sushi. And this is a hard pass for me the next time we go back. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. What a waste of money and calorie space. My honest opinion. Yeah.
Jamal is getting real passionate about it. But we had some really good coffee this morning. I got an ube taro latte and Jamal got a Hilo honey latte, and that made up for it. So some fun flavors to have on the island. We wanted to do some hiking this day, and I had 3 hikes in mind because I just have FOMO and I can't settle on a hike. And, I was like, let's just do all 3. So we were going to go to Diamond Head Crater, which has really good views of Honolulu, but we found out while we were there that you actually have to have reservations, and they were sold out for the day. But that was honestly a good thing, because once we went to our next hike, which was called Koko Crater Tramway, this hike literally almost killed us. It was such a hard hike, but absolutely worth the views. So I'm really glad we didn't do that other hike beforehand.
So we'll get into Koko Crater Tramway hike in just a second, but can you believe that, Kim? Brittany did not know that a hike required reservations. As soon as we pulled up to the park, I see the billboard signs that say no entry unless you have reservations. You're going to have to be turned around. I looked at Brittany. I said, did you see that sign? She was unaware. We were kind of hopeful that we would get up and maybe they would let us in. Not that we asked, oh, can you? But, maybe that sign's just there and they've changed their policy.
Maybe the rules don't apply to me.
Or maybe it's an old sign because, again, I would expect Brittany to know something like this. But nevertheless, it is still an enforced rule. You do need to have reservations, so do look into that.
And would you just book them online ahead of time?
Yes. You can just go online, and they're time slot specific, which I also don't love, because if the morning sold out or the time you're looking for is sold out, you kind of have to plan your whole day around that. So it worked out for us.
Must be a good hike for it to be so regulated.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. The reason why you would want to go to Diamond Head Crater, one, it's a crater. What creates craters in Hawaii? Dead, dormant volcanoes. So this is hiking a dead, dormant volcano that's not very tall in a nice nature preserve area that gives you amazing views along the water of Honolulu, the skyline. So I think it would be a cool hike, no doubt, but like you said, Brittany, very beneficial that we did not hike this one, because this would have taken time. And then by the time we got to Koko Crater Tramway, already a little bit tired from Diamond Head if we were to do it. But it would have really killed time because Koko Crater Tramway took a lot of time. This is a steep climb up over 1,000 stairs. I think it's more than 1,000. They said it was 1,000. I think it's more than 1,000. It felt like more than 1,000.
So what it is, you're basically hiking this old tramway, and this tramway was built by the U.S. Army in 1942, 43, and it was a gas-powered rail that carried up people, equipment, and supplies from a base camp because they used this as a lookout. So that's why it was created. The tramway is no longer going there, so now you can hike it, and those tracks are still there in place, and now they've kind of been converted into stairs, and there's over 1,000 steps to get to the top. It is super, super steep, and we were stopping every few minutes because it's just that steep. But once we got to the platform, it was just like, oh my gosh, this was totally worth it. Not only can you see Diamond Head, you can still see Honolulu, and it gives you pretty much a 360 view of the island.
Yeah, so the view here is substantially better. The elevation gain is 1,100 feet, whereas when we were at the top looking down on Diamond Head Crater, it is so low in elevation in comparison. And of course, you're not going to get views of the other side of the mountain to see around the island. So this gave you more of the 360 that Brittany was talking about. And I really think a great hike. Yeah, it sucked, but if you can go up all those steps, it is really enjoyable. But tell you what, in that heat and humidity, you're going to work up a sweat and you're really going to feel it.
Jamal and I, we both had our legs shaking by the end of this hike. And then when I went to label it on Instagram, it labeled it Stairs of Doom. So these stairs are not playing. But there is one sketchy part of the hike that I do want to mention. There is a part of the railway where there is no dirt underneath it. And so you are literally just on these tram tracks. And if you fall through, you could really injure yourself. There is a way to go around it, but of course we didn't do that. And it was pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, so at some point, the rail tracks and steps become a bridge, and it's not just a flat bridge. You're actually climbing up. So just imagine nothing below you as you're climbing open train tracks. It was only for about 50 feet, maybe a little bit less, but really nerve-wracking at that point. So just be aware, if you don't want to do that, you can do the go-around.
And it is worse coming down than it is going up. I will say that too. Would you do that hike, Kim?
I don't know. I mean, you made the view sound really nice, but that doesn't sound like a fun hike necessarily. Being scared and, risking being seriously injured. I don't know.
Well, you could do the go around and bypass the bridge area. So I would recommend doing that. But you should just Google, when you have the chance, the Koko Crater Tramway. So that way you can get an image of it, even you squatties as well.
From there, we went to the Halona Blowhole Lookout. And the blowhole is a lava tube formation that shoots water into the air when the waves crash into it. But the blowhole wasn't active while we were there. So we did get really great ocean views. And there is a side beach and cove next to this. But we didn't get to see the blowhole.
Yeah, I don't think we were there at the right time for the tide because, of course, the blowhole here that Brittany's talking about is when the waves crash in, the way the rocks are formed, and more particularly here, since this is a lava tube, the water just rushes into the hole and it shoots up just like a water spout. So that would have been really cool to see. But nevertheless, the view here was really pretty. And you forgot to mention, Brittany, we did see some whales breaching while we were out here off in the distance.
Yes, we did. Really cool to see that. And there was photographers that were here. They were pointing them out. It was really cool to see them in the distance for sure.
It's the Paradise Podcast.
I am your host, Ryan Michelle Bethay, with my husband, Sterling.
What's up?
Join us here on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus, where we'll discuss each episode with the cast and crew of Paradise. I'll be getting all the secrets from Dan Fogelman, James Marsden, Shailene Woodley, Julianne Nicholson, and Sterling Kelby Brown. Woo! Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming.
And stream Paradise on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus.
Then we continued along the east side of the island. We went to Makapu'u Lookout, which is an overlook of the ocean and the coastline on the east side of the island. And this was our amazing view of the east side. We did get some when we were at the top of Koko Crater Tramway, but this, you're like looking at a beach straight on, and you can just see how turquoise the water is, how white the sand beaches are. And it was really beautiful. And Jamal and I were looking at that beach and we're like, we can't wait to rest there later today.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think we did go to that beach. We went on to a different beach on that side of the island. But so many people were snorkeling in this area. And where we were at from the lookout, we were probably several hundred feet up, but we could even see the bottom of the ocean in that area and just everybody snorkeling on top. My goodness, how crystal clear and turquoise that water is. But we were doing this drive on the east side of the island because that third hike that Brittany said she had planned, this is where we were finally ending up at, which was going to be the Lanikai Pillbox Trail.
Yes, I actually saw this hike on someone's Instagram way back in COVID days. So like way back in 2020. And I wrote it in my notes and I was like, one day I'm going to hike this hike. And it's been sitting there ever since. So I was like, we're definitely going to do this. So to get to the hike, you actually have to park a little bit away, like a 15-minute walk away, because there is no parking at the trailhead. So that adds to it. So you could just imagine Jamal scoffing as I tell him that we have to add on more length to the actual hike.
Well, the start of the trail, FYI, is in a residential neighborhood. And then you start to go up the mountain. And this residential neighborhood is also by a very popular beach. But of course, they don't want all the tourists parking in the residential neighborhood. So there's tons of no parking signs there. So they do have beach parking further away, but the parking lot is already so small compared to how many people are there. So you're fighting for parking, which adds to the aggravation. And then, of course, by the time you find parking, you've added an extra mile onto the hike to walk half a mile to the trailhead, half a mile back to the car. So when you look here and see the Pillbox Trail hike, it will tell you how long it is, but just add a mile to it because you will not be able to park anywhere near the start of it.
Sounds like a freak out.
There was no freak out. Brittany's just over exaggerating, but I did have a scoff just of because because it sucks. We had already hiked up all those stairs. It's hot. I'm ready to get to the beach. But tell you what, the trail was worth it and the views paid off.
It's a steep hike with no shade, but really, really great views. It's on the Ka'iwa Ridge, and it has views of Lanikai Beach, Kailua, and the Mokulua Islands. There's 2 of them that you get to see. And then you're going to come across 2 pillboxes, which are observation posts that were constructed in World War II to spot enemy ships. So you get to go and you can stand on top of those and you have really, really good views. So when you're looking out into the ocean, you have views of the islands and the beaches. But then behind you, you have the beautiful green cliffs. And it really gave me vibes of the Nepali coast from Kauai.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I saw your videos. Just so beautiful.
What's interesting about Oahu is when you're on the south side of the island in Honolulu, Waikiki area, and you're looking at the cliffs, you do not get those Nepali coast vibes. They just look like regular mountains. But as soon as you get to the backside, the structure and look of it from the erosion and everything really reminded us of the Nepali coast. So if anybody has ever been to Kauai and is familiar with that and not to Oahu, you do get that same vibe from these mountains here, but only from one side, but of course not as grand, but still beautiful nevertheless.
By the end of this hike, Jamal was like, I need shave ice. I want to cool down. So I was like, all right, let me find a place. And I found this place called Island Snow, and it was such good shave ice. Gave it 10 out of 10. They did vanilla ice cream on the bottom, and then you can pick up to 3 flavors. So we did pina colada, mango, and pineapple, and we topped it with a snow cap, which is like the condensed milk. And it was so good, so refreshing, cooled us right down. And fun fact, Obama's been here.
Did they have pictures of him hanging up or something? How do you know that?
Well, when we were looking for a shave ice place, there were 2 that were in semi-close proximity to us. And one of the reviews basically said, oh, Obama's been to this one when they were talking about. But that's not why we picked it. However, when we were in there, they do have a picture of him enjoying his shave ice. But Obama's from Hawaii, been to the island many times, probably goes to all the shave ice places. I don't know. But nevertheless, shave ice, if you're unfamiliar with what it is, consider it to be a Hawaiian style snow cone, but a little bit different because of the way they grind the ice is a little bit smoother, and they have different types of toppings, the snow cap that you talked about, putting the condensed milk, etc. So shave ice, really good, great way to cool down in Hawaii after a day for us completely in the sun, hiking and almost dying, I will say, on those steps.
So then we said we were going to finally go relax at the beach. We went to Waimanalo Beach, and a squatty recommended this beach. It's on the east side of the island. It has beautiful turquoise blue waters. It's a really long beach, so you can actually spread out. You don't feel super crowded. The sand is so soft, and there is an area with a whole bunch of trees. And so if you wanted shade and you didn't want to lay out, you could go hang out in that area too. And there are some places where you can lay on the beach and also be shaded. But there are also spots where you can lay out and get your full tan like you would love, Kim.
And then after the beach, we worked up an appetite and were ready to eat. So we had looked at a lot of places, of course, got recommendations of places to eat on Oahu. And one place that came up constantly was Kono's. And Kono's is famous for being a pork restaurant, right? Lots of Hawaiian style pork. I had been craving some nachos for a long time. They had pork nachos on the menu, and their pork nachos were fire.
They were super good. We really liked them.
So that's what we did for dinner. And then we were debating, are we going to get another menu item from Kono's? But right across the street was another Foodland's. And then we said, well, let's go get some fish instead. So we did sushi from Foodland's after we had gone to Kono's.
Double dinner.
Double dinner. Because we split the nachos. So then we just split like a tray of sushi too. Then we decided to drive back to Waikiki. We went right down the street to a place called International Marketplace, and it's this really big high-end mall that has a food court, high-end retail shops, and sometimes it even has live music. If you walk the whole length of the mall, you can actually pretty much get to the beachfront. It's like right across from the beach. And we stopped at 2 places there. There's a place called Honolulu Cookie Company, and they have these amazing macadamia shortbread cookies. My favorite ones are the chocolate dipped ones, and Jamal really liked the mango ones. And then we stopped at another bakery in this marketplace that had a pineapple round as well.
Yeah, the International Marketplace is a really fun place to walk through in Waikiki and Honolulu. So you're going to find all sorts of food here, but if you just get bored and want some place to go cool off and not be in the sun, International Food Market's the place.
Hey, Squatties, we're going to be releasing some newsletter content about this Oahu trip and some future Hawaii content to come. So make sure that you're subscribed to our newsletter. You can do that. Just go to travelsquadpodcast.com, fill out the form, and we will be in your inbox twice a month.
So on Sunday, I told Jamal that I really wanted to see a Hawaiian sunrise, and Kim's friend had recommended a nice beach for us to go to. He had recommended the Lanikai Beach for sunrise, and this is actually right below the Pillbox hike. So we went back to that area, and we went back to the same Kailua Beach parking lot and walked over. But this beach is a really pristine, quiet beach. It's actually kind of hidden by houses, and you have to get to it by going down these narrow alleyways. So it's not really crowded at all. It also faces the islands that are just offshore, that are a seabird sanctuary. But we had such an amazing sunrise on the beach.
What time was that?
Sunrise was about 6:50 in the morning. But you want to always get to sunrise at least like 20 to 30 minutes early because the sky already starts to light up and change colors beforehand.
And we know what can happen when you try to make the sunrise in Hawaii and something can go wrong and you miss it.
We did miss it when we were in Kauai. I think I led us astray a little bit, but in fairness, that was actually a hike and we got lost in the forest jungle, whatever you want to call it. Here was very easy. We were on
I don't think we got lost. You trekked on because you were having a freak out.
In fairness, if anyone goes back and listens to the Kauai episode that you ladies are referencing here, I was trying to keep pace to make it to sunrise, and I just got lost. I wasn't huffing and puffing off, but nevertheless, really enjoyed the sunrise out here. Beautiful beach, beautiful environment to see it.
Then I wanted to go check out some more beaches. So we went to a beach called Ka'awa Beach, and it's a very narrow beach on Oahu's east coast. It has some amazing views. There's a great spot where you can get the palm trees, the ocean, the sand, and the green cliffs in the background. It just makes such a picture perfect spot. This side is definitely more quiet of the island. There's more locals here. Was not crowded at all. And I would recommend at least stopping here for a little bit.
I would say stop here, check it out, maybe walk it a little bit. This, I didn't really feel like was a beach where you would want to lay out on. It was really short and narrow for as long as it was, but really scenic shots in this area.
Then we wanted to go to the botanical gardens. And everyone talks about the botanical gardens, but I'm going to be one of the first ones to say, I think they could probably be skipped. We like to keep it real on the podcast, and if we had to cut something from our itinerary, it would be this. They are free to go to.
You know, that's surprising coming from you. I know you two are big botanical garden people.
I was about to say we love botanical gardens, but this one is just, it's whatever. You know, I wouldn't even call it a botanical garden. So say what you were going to say, Brittany, and then we'll talk a little bit about why it's not really a botanical garden, even though it is.
So it's 400 acres, but basically there's not a lot of trails and it's mostly driving. It is very scenic views. We drove to the end of the park. There's a parking lot there. You can actually get really good views of the Nepali coast looking mountains. And so we did do that. Then we turned back around and did a trail. It's a very quick trail, but I just wasn't super impressed.
Basically, there's 4 parking lot section areas, and only 2 of those parking lot sections have trails that spur from them, and they don't go very far. So each one of those areas is themed to something else, maybe Asian tropical trees in this area that they're planting. And of course, they're marked, but there's not a lot of them. So it's a great place to go out and actually do a picnic, relax. But even though it's botanical gardens, to label it as botanical gardens, I didn't really feel like I'm getting that experience because it just really felt like a nature area without trails, let alone something to go hike in. So in that sense, it let it down. Still a cool spot to go, but you are right, Brittany. If something is to be skipped in your itinerary, I would say this can be done. But if you have the time or driving through, don't allot a lot of time to it, but you can make it happen.
I did feel like the views are gorgeous in there, but you also get very similar views while you're driving on the H3 freeway. So if you're limited on time, go ahead and skip this one.
Okay, good to know.
And then from here, we decided to go to the Dole Plantation. I've been craving a Dole Whip for so long. And, you know, we only really get them at like Disneyland. So we decided that we wanted to go to the Dole Plantation to hit up one of those.
Do you know what a Dole Whip is, Kim?
Yes, of course.
Have you had it when you went to Disneyland?
Yes.
Okay. So if you've never been to Disneyland or Hawaii, a Dole Whip is basically pineapple flavored ice cream, has a really great texture to it, really, really smooth. And Brittany really wanted that Dole Whip. So we went, but beyond just the Dole Whip selling there, the Dole Plantation is a big tourist attraction that you can go to. They have a Pineapple Express train that you can ride around the plantation. They have plantation garden.
Did you?
We did not do the train. No, we did not do the Pineapple Express train. But they have a plantation garden tour. They even have a large pineapple garden maze. And of course, all sorts of food that you can get there. Dole Whips being included in that, of course, but lots of different food items themed with pineapple. So they really take the pineapple seriously because, of course, they do grow it here. So you'll get pineapple-themed food, pineapple-themed souvenirs, clothing, all sorts of stuff here at the Dole Plantation.
We started with a pineapple chili dog, which was a squatty recommendation. I wouldn't have even thought to get that, but it was actually really good. And then we ended with a Dole Whip. But inside the shop, you can get pineapple candy, chocolate-covered pineapples, anything pineapple related, they have it there.
But we didn't do a lot of the tourist things. We just checked out the shop, really went to go eat food along the way because now that this day was a day in Hawaii without hiking, can you believe that as well, Kim? This was specifically really a beach and exploring day. And finally, we're making our way to the North Shore of Oahu. And the North Shore of Oahu is really known to be some of the best surfing in Hawaii, as a matter of fact. So lots of good waves and beaches out here on the North Shore.
Yeah, the North Shore actually had a sugarcane plantation village in the 1800s, and now it's a huge destination for surfing. In the winter, the waves can be as high as like 30 feet. So really crazy winter waves. And we had asked a squatty who said she frequently goes to the North Shore what her favorite beach was. And she said Waimea Bay Beach. So we decided that's where we were going to go. Parking is very crazy on the North Shore. There's not a lot of parking, so it's very hard to get a spot. So once you find the beach that you want to go to, you're probably going to stay there for a while. And let me tell you, we have a little story for you. And you could decide, were we Karens or were we not?
Oh,
so we go to Waimea Bay Beach. It's a very small parking lot. You know, there's like one in, one out, and it just circles once. Very competitive for parking here. Luckily, people are coming and going all day. So we're kind of in this queue for spots. And people that don't want to wait are going around the cars. So we're like fourth in line to get a spot. And there are people coming from the beach, walking to their cars. So there's 3 cars ahead of us. People are pulling out. And then we see another family go to a car and we're like, okay, perfect. We're going to get that spot because we're next.
And keep in mind, while all this is happening, we're hugged to the right on the road because we are waiting in the queue. Everybody, again, who doesn't want to wait in the queue and says, forget this, it's too long, is going along on the left-hand side and bypassing and then leaving the parking lot saying, hey, I'm going to go try to find it somewhere else on the street, on the road, but this parking lot's not for me. So it's clearly obvious that everyone who is leaving on the left is to get out of the queue and get out of the parking lot where everyone who is on the right is waiting to get a parking spot as people are coming to the cars and leaving.
So we're there and there is someone that does the bypass and we're assuming that they are going to leave the parking lot. But as they pass us, a spot opens up and they take our parking spot as we're waiting for the people in front of us to get into their spot. And so they were going to do the bypass and then they dove into the spot. Then they were with other people who pull up with a second car who aren't even in the queue yet. And she gets out of her car and she starts trying to talk to someone that's walking out of the parking lot, asking where they're going to park, trying to steal a second spot from us. And so Jamal's like, are you going to say anything? And I was like, no. But then when she was asking the lady where her spot was and was going to take the spot from us for her dad, I think, Jamal rolled down his window and was like, hey, you better stop talking to her. That is our spot. You already cut.
You said you better stop talking to her?
Well, I did not say those words. Brittany's paraphrasing here. I said, no. We're taking that spot because you cut in front of everybody to steal that spot. That spot was ours. I wasn't going to say anything to you, but you just had a second person pull up in another car who wasn't even waiting, and you're asking this lady right now where they're actually parked so that your friend can take that. I said, no. That's not happening. If she is in this parking lot, that's my spot. And they're like, well, what car do you think we're in? Like, they were so taken aback, like I had to be mistaken on who they were. And I was like, no, you're in the red SUV. I saw it. And they're like,
oh my gosh.
She was like, well, the lady was leaving. And I said, yeah. But everybody who was hanging out on the right-hand side was in the queue waiting for people to come, leave, get in the cars. And she's like, but the people that we passed, they were already like waiting for somebody to take those spots. So we were just going through. I'm like, well, what did you think I was waiting for then at that point? I was waiting for that spot. How am I supposed to go around 3 other cars at this point in time? If I get out to the left like you were in, then obviously that means I'm leaving. I was waiting for my time to go up. So anyway, we were going to let the fact that they stole the first one slide, but as soon as they tried to poach that second one for a car that wasn't even in the queue, that's when we both rolled down the window. And Brittany said that I said it and was like aggravated. I started talking calmly, and as soon as I started talking, Brittany's the one who really turned up the heat a little bit.
Whoa, what did you do,
So don't let her
Brittany?
fool you.
I don't even remember what I said, but I was like, that spot is ours. And the lady that was just trying to go to her car, she was like, I'm out of here. She just like left.
Well, keep in mind, we were already waiting for 25 minutes, right? It's not like, oh, we're just lollygagging around, making a couple rounds and had been in
And
there
are
like
there
5
other
minutes.
people waiting as well?
Yes.
Absolutely. There was at least 6, 7 other cars behind us extending out of the parking lot at that point in time.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when people were sitting for a long time and getting tired, that's when it's like, all right, I'm so far behind, I'm just going to leave the parking lot. And that's what we thought she was doing. And as soon as she did that and got to the front, she got lucky, so to speak, to see the person who was leaving that we were waiting for, but we were just stuck behind the line because the 3 other cars that were in front of us were still waiting for their people to actually back out. But she had just cut in and got there perfectly at that point in time and swooped in. So maybe we were Karens, but I'm waiting 25 minutes for a parking spot. I'm not giving up a second.
So how did that conversation end?
They were just playing dumb, saying like, oh, they didn't know how that worked. And they said, fine, we won't take that spot. The spot's yours. And then she went up to the car that was with her and was like, oh, they're going to take that spot. So we got the parking spot. We went to the beach. The waves here were amazing. So wild. If you want to talk about rogue waves, you're going to find them here. Those waves just sneak up on you. They can easily knock you over. And it's just a beach where you can lay out, but if you plan on getting in the water, you can't be one of the girls that's like, oh, I'm not going to get my hair wet, because those waves are going to make it so your hair is drenched.
I really loved this beach here. We enjoyed our time. Couldn't spend too much time because the sun was out. And Jamal's fair skin. I was really concerned, even with suntan lotion, that I was just going to burn. And I think I got a nice little base. I escaped at the right time, but it was really fun out here. And I would go back to Waimea Bay Beach. The waves just crazy, but you do have to be a good, confident swimmer to be out in these waves because they are rough. Not anything too crazy, but just be mindful of that.
People were body surfing. Your choice is to body surf with the wave or duck under them as they come, because if they crash into you, they're just going to knock you right over.
Well, and a couple times they crashed in, and actually one of them hit my head pretty hard. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I might need to get out of the water. That made me a little bit dizzy. So be cautious here, but great place to just lay out on the sand if you wanted to. But real quick before we move on after the beach, second story about the parking. So we were in this, but this is somebody calling me out. now at this point in time.
Tables have turned.
Tables have turned. So we parked in the second to last spot before the exit. Okay. So technically, it's almost like we're right at the front of the line, but of course, it's a one-way. So the back of the line is also technically the front of the line. Then at that point, if you're the last person into the parking lot, first one who's about to be out. So a girl in a car sees Brittany and I leaving, and she says, "Oh, are you actually leaving?" And I said, "Yeah, we're leaving, but there's a line," because she was last in line and everybody else was waiting, and there were like at least 10 cars that were in front of her. And then she just looks at me. I know what the Jamal scoff looks like because she gave me a Jamal scoff roll eye action. And she's like, "You don't need to be such a dick about it." And I was like, yeah, called me out. But I wasn't even mean about it.
Doesn't sound very dickish.
No, all I said was like, "Yeah, we're leaving, but there's a line." I said it in a very calm tone, but she took it in a way and called Jamal a dick. So, that happened. So point being, the reason why I bring that up is parking gets feisty out there.
Yeah, what a wild parking lot.
It definitely was. So we decided to go from here and grab something sweet to eat. So we went to a place called Ted's Bakery. We got the chocolate hypea cream pie, which is a dark chocolate cream bottom, a coconut cream center, and a whipped coconut cream topping.
You guys love bakeries.
I love bakeries. I really like tropical desserts, so that's also a thing too.
I'm not going to deny that we have a sweet tooth. We probably should be better about it. But when we're at home, we're not really like this. But when we travel and something's on the list of like, "Oh, you got to try it," let alone it fits the theme with the coconut, you're in Hawaii, we did want to try it. Ted's Bakery is a very famous and popular spot to go to on the north shore of the island for sweets, but they also have really amazing savory food. We did not eat food here, but everything that I saw come out looked absolutely dynamite.
And then from here, we decided to go back to Waikiki, and we make it back to our hotel. Jamal's like, "I'm really hungry." I said I was really hungry too, but it's just about 30 minutes to sunset. So I throw out, "Hey, Jamal, can we go back to Waikiki Beach to watch the sunset?" And I thought this man was going to have a freak out.
I was ready to eat dinner, and we had already watched sunset at Waikiki. So I just really wasn't expecting her to say, "Let's go check out the sunset again." Threw me off from what plans I thought we had, how I needed to dress to change because I was going to change for something for dinner. But now she wants to go to the beach, and then I got to go sit on the sand, and I don't really want to wear shoes to the beach because I hate getting sand in my shoes, so I got to wear flops, but I don't want to wear flops to dinner. It was a whole debacle, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I get it. Why couldn't you find a restaurant on the beach to watch the sunset from?
That's a good point. But we had our eyes set on this place called Maragume Udon, where every single night we passed it, the line was insane and people were just raving about it. So we really had our eyes set on this place.
So that's why we didn't eat on the beach. We enjoyed seeing sunset one final time on Waikiki, and then afterwards went to the Maragume Udon, which is a ramen spot, but they use specifically udon noodles as their ramen noodles in all their dishes, and this did not disappoint. And I know why there is a line right here in the center of Honolulu and Waikiki. Probably one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing that we ate this entire time in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think it is one of my favorite things we ate for sure. It was so good.
So we woke up the next morning. By this time, it's actually Monday, and it is our last day here in Oahu. We had a 2 p.m. flight. But if you know anything about Oahu, you know that this is the famous spot where the attack on Pearl Harbor occurred. And they have the memorial out there. And of course, here in this area and in Pearl Harbor, they still have an active military base. So they have the memorial here plus active military naval ships. So we wanted to go check out this area more particularly to see the memorial.
Yes, so you do have to have reservations if you want to go to the USS Arizona, which is the memorial site. So online, if you go to recreation.gov, you can book your ticket there. It's only $1 to reserve the ticket. I booked 9 a.m. tickets, and it gets you a boat ride to the memorial from the visitor center. And then you are at the memorial for a little bit. You have about 15 minutes there to explore, reflect. You can see the submerged remains of the battleship visible beneath the water. And then At the very back of the memorial, they have a memorial wall with all of the names of every person that lost their lives in the attack. But also, there were some survivors. And so once those survivors have passed, they have the option to be cremated and be placed in an urn back at that site to be reunited with their crew. I thought that was really special.
Yeah, so they had the names of the survivors who have done that, and of course, everyone who lost their lives. But what's really unique about this is it's not just a memorial. Like you go to Washington, D.C. and see the war memorials and you're on land. This war memorial is on top of the water. The battleship USS Arizona, parts of it is still visible because the bay is deep but shallow in certain areas. So part of the battleship is still above water with, of course, most of it being submerged. So this memorial floats over that, and you can actually still see the oil slick and glaze because there is still oil that's in the ship and it beads up, and you can see that rainbow that it creates on the water from the oil. So really interesting to see, humbling to be there as well.
So then we just took a boat ride back. Once you get back to the shore, there is a whole bunch of historical facts and reading material about Pearl Harbor and the events and all of that. So we did do that. And I do want to point out that even though I reserved a 9 a.m. time slot and we got there right before 9 a.m., I got my ticket, and you get your ticket, you put it in your travel folder, you don't really look at it again. The ticket actually says you should get there an hour early. So I don't know why they do that, but I was not planning on getting there an hour early, and I didn't even realize we should have been there an hour early because we were supposed to go through the site, watch a video, then end with the boat ride. So we kind of did it backwards.
But then when we were done, this area by Pearl Harbor is close to the airport. So we wanted to get some food because we knew with the time change and by the time we land back in San Diego, it's going to be in the 9 o'clock hour. So really no time for dinner. So we wanted to have a nice, good, big lunch. And something that came up very highly rated in the area by the airport was a place called Joe's Grill. And they are known to make Hawaiian flair and food, chicken katsu, macaroni salad, all sorts of other stuff that you would equate with Hawaiian cuisine. And Brittany and I got the spicy chicken katsu lunch plate. So it came with the rice and the mac salad. And oh my gosh, I said that the ramen and udon noodles was my number one. This could also be in competition for number one. If it's not, it's definitely number two, but probably some of the best katsu I've ever had.
Super flavorful. The hostess, her name was also Brittany. She was super friendly. She had a really good personality. She made it fun. And it was just a quick place to go and eat before we went to the airport.
Hawaii does have some really good food.
I'm ready to go back, Kim.
Let's go, girls trip.
So we did do a 4-day, 3-night trip. And I just want to briefly mention the cost because we do try to share that with you guys so you can see how affordable travel can be at times. I did buy one flight with points, and then I paid for one flight, and the one flight I did pay for was $170. Then I used companion fare for Jamal's flights. So total for our flights, we paid $182 round trip for both of us. That really only comes to $45 a flight.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, to Hawaii. The flights are like 5 to 6 hours there from California. The rental car was only $192, and it came with a $25 Costco gift card. It originally was like $250-ish, but the price kept dropping and I kept rebooking. And then I did find the Airbnb in Waikiki. It was $611 for the 3 nights. It was labeled an Airbnb, but our Airbnb was also part of a hotel, so it didn't have like a kitchen or anything. It's like hotel kind of condos, so someone owns the unit, but it also operates in the hotel, kind of like a timeshare. It was definitely affordable. It was cute. It was in a nice neighborhood, walkable to everywhere in Waikiki. I would stay there again. So total, we spent just under $1,500 for 2 people for the 4 days and 3 nights.
Okay, that's not terrible, especially Hawaii standards.
Exactly.
Very exciting, squatties. It is our favorite time of the week. We have questions of the week. We have 2 questions this week. The first one is coming from Noah out of Cleveland, Ohio. Noah's asking, did you feel welcomed by Hawaiians? I was also curious about this.
Quite honestly, on Oahu, I really felt like we didn't see a lot of native Hawaiians, if that's what you're referring to. If you're talking just Hawaiians who live on Hawaii, white and not native, sure, there's lots of them. But the natives that we did come across, Brittany had mentioned how at Joe's Grill, the hostess and waitress was really, really nice. She was a Hawaii native, and she was probably the nicest person that we came across on our entire trip because it's right by the airport. She's like, oh, you guys are just getting in. You're going to love Oahu. We're like, no, we're just leaving. Oh, so sad. We're going to be sad to see you guys go. Thanks for coming in here before you guys leave. What did you guys do? Just like really, really friendly. Wanted to make sure we had a really good island experience. So I would say in terms of locals and Hawaiians, we had a great experience, felt very welcoming in that sense.
Well, that's good to know. Next question, Anthony from Tampa Bay, Florida. Would you recommend visiting this island or a different one?
I feel like you can tell from the episode that we do recommend visiting Oahu. We did love our time there, but we have decided that we are going to have an episode that's going to break down all 4 of the main islands and compare and contrast them, because I think depending on what type of person you are, what you like, what you want to do, that can help make it easier for you to make a decision on which island is best for you to go to.
Well, we will stay tuned for that episode. And also, just one last thought I had. Earlier in the episode, you said Waikiki is known for a lot of things, and one of those was nightlife. But I didn't get the sense that you got to experience the nightlife. What's up with that?
Well, we didn't go out much at night other than the international marketplace. We did walk around, but we didn't go get drunk or go to any bars really other than the brewing company. But one of our squatties did celebrate her bachelorette on Oahu, and she recommended a fun place to go. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I will put it in the show notes for you guys. But there are bars, of course, and other places to enjoy the nightlife in Waikiki.
Well, when we go on our girls' trip, we'll have to really get up close and personal with it.
Sounds good.
Squatties, thank you so much for tuning into our episode this week. Keep the adventures going with us on all the socials at Travel Squad Podcast, and send us in your questions for next week.
If you found the information in this episode to be useful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please be sure to share it with a friend that would enjoy it too. And as always, please subscribe, rate and review our podcast, and tune in every Travel Tuesday for new episodes.
And Squatty, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on everything happening with the podcast. Hear the latest tips, advice, and amazing adventures we have in store for you.
Bye,
Bye, Squatties.